welcome to another episode of Shoe Talks. So, today, let me tell you something. I posted something on my Instagram on Sunday because every Sunday I do self-care Sundays. You know, it's all about kind of just knowing to take care of your star player. This post, y'all, has gotten over 1,000 likes. So, of course, I'm like, you know what? I'm just go ahead with the train and talk about it. So today we're going to talk about your love language for yourself. And it's funny because when you hear about love languages, the first thing that you think about is relationships or romance, or how can I love my partner better, or how can I help my partner love me better. Very seldom do we realize that we need to learn how to love ourselves. So why not apply the method of love languages to ourselves? You know, I think we live in a time where everybody is very much concerned with self-care and self-confidence and self-love and self-awareness. But what are we doing to enhance the love we have for ourselves? What are we doing to grow and be better within ourselves? So let's talk about it. So if you don't know, in 1992, Dr. Gary Chapman wrote a book called The 5 Love Languages. And in his book, he pretty much discussed the 5 different ways to express how you love your partner, or how your partner translates actions into love. And the 5 love languages are words of affirmation, act of service, receiving gifts, quality time, and physical touch. I have taken this quiz, of course. I mean, I feel like pretty much almost everybody has. But I can tell you that I actually have 2 love languages. My 2 love languages are quality time and physical touch. So the whole point of a love language is just to pretty much help you communicate better and kind of connect better with your mate. But what about finding a way to better communicate with your body and your mind and your soul, you know, and having that connection? Because if you don't know how to connect with yourself, how can you teach somebody to connect with you? How can you invest in a relationship when you don't necessarily have one with yourself? As you guys could tell, if you've been rocking with me since day one, you've kind of noticed a change in my attitude, a change in my thought process. I have become very much an advocate for self-care and self-love, mostly because I am just like y'all. I struggle with it. I struggle with putting myself first. I struggle with telling people no in order to tell me yes. So I am becoming an advocate because it's forcing me to learn to appreciate, to love, to care, to nourish, to grow within myself. You got me? So, how do you figure out your love language? You know, there are different ways to do it. You know, you can read through the book, which is called The 5 Love Languages, and kind of figure out. There is a quiz, and I think it's at the beginning of the book. You take a quiz, and you know, you kind of figure out what makes you happy. So let's kind of go through them and see how each love language could be applied to you. So let's start with quality time, which is one of mine. You know, if your love language is quality time, you just love being with somebody. You know, it's their presence that makes you happy. You don't necessarily want anything from them. You don't have to be doing anything. You can literally just be laying down in the presence of someone that just matches your energy, matches your vibe, brings positive energy and vibes. You know, something about that person just makes you happy. So when you think about quality time with yourself, you know, we all call that me time. You know, you gotta learn to give yourself the undivided attention that you would want from somebody else. You know, like take yourself out on a date. I remember it used to be pretty much shunned upon to take yourself to the movies. Like, people are like, ugh, you went to the movies by yourself? I sure did. Sure did go to the movies by myself, and had a great time. Didn't nobody talk to me. Didn't nobody ask me no questions. Didn't nobody had to go pee and then come back and ask me what did they miss. Like, it was me, myself, and I. I've taken myself out to dinner before. You know, I might have sat at the bar. Sometimes I sit at a table, but you have to learn to be okay with you. The only thing I haven't done yet is travel alone. That's just because, I'm a punk and I'd be scared that if something happened to me, that's it, game over. I don't have nobody to tell nobody. Like, who gonna tell my mama what happened? Like, it's a long story, y'all. But, other self-love ideas for people's love language that's quality time is, practice mindfulness or spend a day at a coffee shop. You can do yoga, sit and enjoy the sunset. Having that moment is just so beautiful. And it's just something about watching the sun rise and set that kind of just creates such a calming vibe. You know what I mean? Painting, treat yourself to, like I said, treat yourself to dinner. I told y'all I done took myself to Cheesecake Factory and enjoyed an amazing, amazing meal. Sitting on your porch, just taking time for you. They also recommend like going on a nature hike, but your girl right here don't really mess with nature. Me and Mother Nature ain't the best of friends. She got all different types of creatures just roaming around, and I don't do well with bugs. So, if you want to go for a nature hike, I have a lot of friends that love to do that. If it works, woo woo, do what you gotta do. Shu over here ain't finna go on a hike. Moving along. Words of affirmation. And you guys all know I struggle with compliments. So this necessarily is not my cup of tea. Although, if you are following me on Instagram, which you should, if you are not, take a moment, pause this podcast, go follow me. My handle is at I_am_shenanigans. That's SHOUNANIGANS. Go on and follow me. I'm going to go ahead and wait for you. I'm going to give you a little second right here. Okay, cool. So I have started this new trend where every morning I post an affirmation, whether it's an affirmation or a motivation. And to be completely honest, it helps. If you're speaking with your partner and you're affirming them of your love, hey, I love you. Yo, you did a great job. Hey, you killed it. Why don't we speak to ourselves like that? There are times, actually, I've started doing it to myself. Like if I'm really struggling with something and then I get it done, I'm like, you know what, Shu? I know you was over here stressing out that you wasn't going to be able to get this done. Look at you. Look at you and yourself, all productive. You know what I mean? Like, you got to be your cheerleader. I know a lot of times it's great to have friends and a squad and people shouting you out and a hype man, but sometimes it's okay to be your own cheerleader. It's hard in the beginning because then you kind of feel weird saying it out loud, but the more you do it, the more you get used to it, the better it feels. And then all of a sudden, your level of confidence, boom, it will skyrocket. I don't know if that's the word, but other ways, other self-love ideas for words of affirmation. You can put little Post-it notes. I don't know if anybody else used to watch Being Mary Jane with Gabrielle Union, but I loved that about her. It was either her bathroom mirror. No, she had a window in her room where she would just write, whether it was like a little love note, a note of encouragement, an amazing quote, and put it on a Post-it and put it on her window. So that every time she walked by her window, she had a wall full of encouragement. And I think that's something that a lot of people lack. And it's because we're waiting for somebody else to encourage us where we should be encouraging ourselves. You can, if you don't want to do a Post-it note, you can have a gratitude jar. You can make a vision board. I have a friend, shout out to Regine. I'm gonna start putting my friends on payroll, y'all. I keep shouting them out. Shout out to Regine, who was actually the first person to get me to make a vision board. And it's actually really fun. You go ahead and grab a couple girlfriends. I know this is supposed to be self-love and, things you do by yourself, but creating a vision board, go and get you a couple bottles of wine, get you some poster boards and some old magazines, and cut away and just create your vision board. It kind of helps motivate you to do more, to be more. And it might create inspirations, or aspirations, I should say. You gotta, to me, the biggest thing on this list, and it may cause me to detour from this whole conversation, but try not to, is learning to forgive yourself for past mistakes. I gotta say that one more time, because that to me is one of the most powerful things in life. If there's nothing to take away from this podcast, this line is it. Something like that. You got to learn to forgive yourself. There are people in life who are walking around with trauma and self-hate and guilt from things that they've done 4, 5, 10 years ago. You have to learn to forgive yourself, because if you don't forgive yourself, how do you grow? How do you progress? How do you proceed with life if you're still holding on to pain, to hurt, to guilt, to a mistake? It's one thing if you made a mistake and you take no accountability for it. But if you made a mistake, everything has been taken care of. That person has, forgiven you. You have taken accountability for it. You have to learn to forgive yourself. I think it's something that people do very easily with everybody else. You'll be quick to forgive a guy for cheating on you. You'll be quick to forgive a woman for cheating on you or for cussing you out. But when it comes to forgiving ourselves, we find every reason not to. You can't love yourself if you're upset with yourself. You gotta learn to let it go. Let it go. Let it go. Sorry, I had to do it. Sorry about that. All right. Moving on to our next love language, receiving gifts. Another one I struggle with. Not my love language. I've never been a gift person. It actually makes me uncomfortable. But if I'm buying myself a gift, I might be okay with that. Some people call it retail therapy. I'm actually learning to be okay with buying myself gifts. I'm one of those people where if I'm buying something for somebody else, I'll spend $400, $500, $600. But if it's myself and it's $30, I'm like, do I really need these? I can go without for another couple weeks. But the other day, I actually just went and bought these amazing, beautiful mermaid boots, as my niece likes to call them. And it was just a just because gift, because I deserve it, because I juggle a lot and try not to complain, even though if people in my life, they might tell you otherwise. But I gotta vent every once in a while. But overall, I think I'm doing a good enough job not complaining. But other ways too, self-love through receiving gifts is, invest in your hobby or your passion. Look at me with podcasting. If you would have told me last year that I would have bought a microphone, I would have bought equipment to go full throttle vlogging and podcasting. Well, maybe not last year, because I started this in September. So had you told me 2 years ago, I would have been spending money on a hobby, I would have been like, yeah, no, because that doesn't sound rational. But here I am, enjoying it as I do it too. You know what I mean? It just creates a sense of, it's almost therapeutic, if that makes sense. Buy yourself flowers. I used to buy myself flowers all the time. Now I buy flowers for Mama Baton. But, buy yourself flowers, or you can make yourself a self-care kit. That can be like those little bubble bombs, those shower bombs, some perfume, just cute little knickknacks that you like and that you'll enjoy, things that'll make you happy. What I like to do is buy something and then completely forget about it. And then when it comes in, I'm like, oh, look at what I bought. That could also just mean I have a spending problem. But moving along, the next love language, physical touch. Now, for all of my adults, it's not what you think. It's more so along the lines of taking care of your inner self, eating better, going for walks and getting some fresh air, lighting your favorite candle, creating and maintaining a skincare routine, fitness, working out, tea, drinking water, go to sleep earlier. Y'all, I have been trying to fall asleep before midnight. I remember there was a time I'd be asleep by 9 p.m. Nowadays, I can't go to sleep before midnight, so I'm working on it. We're going to work on this together. Y'all. Stretch, taking a bubble bath. These are all ideas, self-love ideas for physical touch. Doesn't necessarily need to be touching yourself. I was trying not to say it, but it is what it is. It's ways of pretty much physical touch within yourself, not necessarily to yourself. And then the last love language is acts of service. When you're speaking in regards to your mate, you are taking out the trash or washing the dishes or doing picnic or taking them out on a picnic or little things like that. So in respects to acts of service for yourself, create a to-do list and check it off. Or, you could donate to a local charity. You can declutter. A lot of times we do spring cleaning. And what's funny is I actually found, and I've started doing it, and it works. At the beginning of the year, or when I'm changing my seasonal clothes, I flip the hanger the opposite direction. And every time I wear something, I switch the direction of the hanger so that by the time it's time for me to switch my seasonal clothes again, all of the hangers that are still facing the initial direction, I know I never wore, and I know that it's okay to give away. You heard it from me. Not sure where I got it from. I probably got it off of Pinterest, but that's a great way to declutter. And, it's pretty much like you're doing 2 acts of service in one, because you're decluttering and then you're also donating your clothes to somebody who, might not be able to afford it. You can set a few monthly goals. Now, I think that's awesome because I have an amazing group of ladies. We call ourselves The Shift. It stands for Sisters Healing in Faith Together. And I know I've been slacking, and some of us have been doing it too, but we created a note on our iPhones where every month we create a list of monthly goals for ourselves, and we hold each other accountable for it. We try not to have too much of an extensive list, maybe like 3 or 4 goals, and we just keep updating it month by month by month by month. And as you continue to create these goals, it just allows you to do better, to be focused, to do more. So I think having a goal list is actually really awesome. An important activity on this list: you have to learn to set boundaries for yourself. You gotta say no to things that drain your energy. Now, a lot of times we don't realize that saying yes to everything isn't necessarily a good thing for us. We get so consumed with helping everybody else out that we tend to forget the toll that it takes on our body, on our mind, on our energy, on our vibe. Like, you got to learn to set boundaries. For instance, a new boundary that I created on Sundays. Don't call me. Don't call me. I'm not going to answer my phone. I might if I know if it's an emergency. Send me a text if it's an emergency, but don't call me on Sundays. That is shoe time. I gotta learn to just disassociate myself from the outside world and put me first. So I do that on Sundays. That is my boundary. I say no. Don't ask me to go out. Don't ask me to do anything. Unless it's, there are, of course, exceptions, but I've started to create those boundaries amongst other boundaries. Also, giving yourself breaks throughout the workday, especially now, especially with the time that we are living in. It's COVID. A lot of us are working from home, and because we're working from home, we're not running to the break room. We're not taking a walk to the bathroom. We are literally sitting at home in front of a computer screen. 2, if you're like me. 3, technically, because I got my personal laptop, then I got my work laptop, then I got a second screen. So if you got 3 screens in front of you, you're not getting up as much as you should. You're not giving yourself a break. You probably are not taking a lunch because you're already at home. Nor are you taking time off. You gotta learn to give yourself a break. I've started to realize that I've been getting something that sounds like a cold. And it's not that I'm getting sick, but my body has this thing where if I tend to overload myself, my body tends to go, oh, you big bad today. Oh, this what we doing? This what we doing? And then all of a sudden, I get sick. And I am forced to tap out. I don't like getting there. So I've now started to force myself to take breaks. I've now started to carve out time for me to do nothing. T. Shaw, shout out to T. Shaw, because he had this amazing idea where he goes on strike. He goes on strike every couple of days. And his friends are aware of that. His family's aware of that. He is aware of that. When he goes on strike, don't bother him. Don't call him. He is doing nothing. And that is amazing. I think it's amazing because growing up, you're always taught to be on the go. You got to be productive. You got to be doing something. You got to be moving. You got to be working on something so that you can be great. And no. It's okay to stop, take a second, and take a break. You ever realize one of the keys to studying, or if you writer's block, they tell you to walk away for a little bit, take a break, and then come back, and you can just attack. But you gotta learn to take that break. If you don't take a break, then your body's gonna burn you out. And if you want to hear more about body language, go on, check out one of my other episodes, because I definitely had a conversation on listening to your body and learning how to do better when it comes to listening and taking care of our bodies and body language. So, like I said, I was really pleasantly surprised at the love and traffic my post got on Instagram. Again, if you're not following me on Instagram, go look for me. It's I_am_shenanigans, SHOUNANIGANS. But yeah, we got to learn to love ourselves, guys. And it's funny because we will do all this research to learn how to love somebody else and have zero knowledge about loving ourselves. I just want us to do better, y'all. I'm trying to do better. So because I'm trying to do better, I want everybody to do better. But I seriously want to thank you guys for rocking out with me today, listening to me talk about this self-love language theory, philosophy, guideline. I don't know what it's called, but honestly, it's really important that we learn to love ourselves. We learn how to love ourselves. We learn how to better communicate with our minds, our bodies, our souls, because at the end of the day, we are all we have. You know what I'm saying? Like if you can't take care of your star player, who's going to? So, on that note, again, thank you for rocking out with me, and I will catch y'all on the next episode of Shoe Talks. And with that, I'm out.